Hey folks, Keith McGowan here. I am the Outboard Dad, here to help you have a better boating experience. Today we're going to get this lower unit on. We took care of the water pump in our last episode, got that all cinched up. We changed the oil in the lower unit. It's all ready to go. We didn't have any leaks, there was no water in it, so now I have my strap on here, which I learned from another guy. Like most of the things I do, I learned from somebody else. And we're going to get this lower unit up inside here and get it on the strap so we're not fighting with it with our hands and back and everything like that. As you get older, you want to use these things more and more instead of your back. So don't forget, my used outboard motor buying guides for sale on Amazon right now. If you send me an email at keith@outboarddad.com, I will, with proof of purchase, I will offer a free half-hour session over the phone for a limited time. It's not going to be much longer. I'm going to do that to help you with a motor or a boat you're looking to purchase or a motor that you're working on. So if you've watched my channel at all, you know that I like white lithium. I have all my bolts here ready, white lithium up. I put a little white lithium in each one of these holes so that we make sure we push some grease up inside there. So I also greased up the spline on my drive shaft just to make sure it'll come back off and on easier for the next person who needs to. This is a heavier lower unit. This is like a V6 on these looper motors. So I'm going to have to muscle this in a little bit. So we'll get this together. Get my strap ready. We also want to make sure we line up our water pump tube properly. Well, this one's a heavy one, for sure. Get our strap on here. Of course, I should have put it on this side, but I didn't. Get a couple clicks just to hold it in place. Just so our strap will hold it. And now we'll line it up the rest of the way. Want to make sure I'm lined up properly on my water pump tube. So now that I know I have everything lined up, I'm just going to hold it where it needs to be. Crank it up the rest of the way. Now we're going to hit about this spot here, and I'm going to turn my flywheel to make sure I match up my splines. And that brings us up the rest of the way. Now we'll put all our bolts in one by one and cinch them all up. Then we're going to fire this puppy up. Can't wait. And before I put all the bolts in, I do want to look closely to make sure my shift shaft lined up properly. So I may have to drop it down a little bit if it didn't. So I can see it inside here. Not sure if you can see that in there. So our shift shaft's in here. So it's not really lined up perfectly, so I'm going to go ahead and get a pair of needle nose and turn that. I want to make sure this is lined up where it needs to be and make sure we can get that connected before we secure up that lower unit. That's a little better. Now it's only one bolt like this, and the whole thing has the shoulder on it on the opposite side. So we'll go ahead and shift this down so we get it lined up. Or move the shifter down, I should say. There we go. Now put some grease on this bolt too. Make sure it's well lubed up. It's a 3/8 or a flathead you can use. So I'm not going to crank this in, I just want to get it in place and then put my lower unit bolts in. Make sure it shifts smoothly the way it's supposed to, and then we'll tighten this down the rest of the way. On these looper models, we have a 5/8 bolt that goes kind of in the center here, and then there's a 9/16 out further, and the rest of them are 9/16 head bolts. I'd like to get the 5/8 in there pretty far. I won't meet it all the way up with the midsection, but I'll just get it kind of close there. Actually, I went a little bit too far that I'd like to. And then I'll tighten up this 9/16. Again, not super tight, just get it in there, run it up most of the way, and then I'll tighten up my other bolts. So what I'm trying to do is bring it up evenly. We know everything's lined up the way it's supposed to be, but I like to bring it up as evenly as we can. I got this within, let's say, 1/8 of an inch. I want to get it the same here. And then I'll bring the rest of the bolts up nice and neat where they need to be, and then we'll tighten them all. Then we're going to bring this outside, hook up some fuel. Hopefully it doesn't have fuel leaks. Pump a bunch of fuel in it, hook up the hose, turn the key, see if she runs. Now that everything's tight, I can go ahead and take my strap off, or maybe you could call it my back saver. Put that aside. Now we have our little skeg here. Again, put some grease on there. This is not a anode. It's not a zinc anode. It's just a skeg kind of for directional. Helps you with steering so that it doesn't pull to one side all the time. Not sure how much adjustment it really would need. It has some holes in it from the dolphin, but we just want to make sure it's greased so it'll come back off for the next time for the next person. We'll hook up our piston tube here. I'm not going to put a strap on it or anything, just to run it for now. I want to make sure this doesn't fall off, so we'll put it aside. Let's get this outside. Let's hook up a hose and let's get it. Oh, I have to make sure I have a key for this. It's a different setup than the older Johnson Evinrudes. It's the square black plug. So I have to go in my shop or in my other shop and take a quick look to get the right plug. Then we'll fire this puppy up. You ever get so excited you can't wait to start a motor that you forget something? That's why I like to have my workbench. I set the parts up so this way when I go back to my workbench, I realize I forgot to put this in there. So it's just the exhaust housing. It's not going to kill anything. We can still do a test run, but I'm going to have to drop that lower unit again, muscle it back up there again. And that's what happens when we work on stuff, right? Nobody's perfect. There are things that get missed from time to time. As long as I, made sure the pistons were in and stuff like that, I think we'll be good. So I got my ignition key switch here. I just have to strip out my neutral safety switch and jump it out, and we should be able to get ready to kick this over. So as I'm looking at my new spark plugs, just always pays to double check. Looking at my old spark plugs, not the same number. How could that be, you say? Well, when I ordered these spark plugs, I ordered them out of the book, looking up what was designed for this motor. So I ordered the Champion QL77JC4. Let's not talk about Champion. I know some people don't like it. What I have here is the QL78YC. And let's look at the difference of those spark plugs. You can see how that electrode sticks out so much further. So I'm going to have to double check this in the book and make sure that that is correct before we fire this up. Probably won't hurt just for a one time to run it, but we want to make sure we have the right ones in there for Sean. So we'll get these spark plugs in here and then we'll look it up real quick before we fire it up. Here we go. All right, Sean, that's your motor. Fired right up, first time, first try, pretty cool. It wasn't pumping water, so we're gonna have to identify what's going on with that. We'll hook the hose up. We have to pull the lower unit off anyway, so we'll run the hose up in there. Probably just one of the tubes was clogged, but I think we cleaned out all those tubes. We just wanna make sure we're getting good water flow. I'll have to check the numbers on this one too. Some of these don't start peeing water until they warm up. Just don't wanna take a chance. We know she fired right up. This is a good running motor ready to go, and we're gonna continue on by removing that lower unit, put that exhaust housing in that we missed, and then we're going to make sure that we're pumping water properly. So that'll be in the next episode. Please like, subscribe, send any comments that you have, and we hope to see you out on the water soon. Have a great day.